You know what? We are 10 minutes in. We don't have a quorum requirement and we have exceeded. So I think can someone text Sue she's coming? But meanwhile, let's get started because I think there are a few items are just procedural that we can go through. So hopefully by the time she calls in, we'll be actually get to the fun part. Um, um, I don't know who has Sue's number. Maybe somebody can just give her a quick
I'm texting her right now.
thank you. So, call to order, we have roll call. Do I say anything special here other than, welcome to Cultural Arts Committee meeting? Do we actually have anything special? Okay. Well, if not, I'm going to jot down everyone's name. And so everyone except, well, we have Sherry. I'm going to write down your name as it appears on the sidebar of my Valiant. Okay. Okay, fantastic. And we have as a non-Brown Act committee, we do not have a quorum requirement, and so I'm not going to call for quorum. We're just going to call for the start of the meeting. We do not have any oral communications. Onto the second item of the agenda, I don't have any communication items that are not on the agenda. I think all the items I'd like to discuss are on the agenda. I just want to remind everyone the speaker's time limit is to 3 minutes per person when we are in discussion about a business. We're a small committee. I think if you want to go over a little bit, that's fine. But not too long. Does anybody want to bring up any new item that's not on the agenda? Okay, I take that as a no. So approval minutes. We do not have a copy of last time's minutes. I understand it's somewhere in the I could have chased it down, but given all the changes, the town allowed me an exception, so we can just skip on that part and we'll start fresh now. Um, Let me say before the new business,
Mm-mm.
I before I dive into the new business, I think I met everyone on this call. I think Leslie, probably you're the only person I haven't met in person. And I am very excited to be the committee chair this year. I think this is a wonderful, wonderful cause. It's a cause I believe in. Um, I think every community needs arts, needs music. It's really the glue of any community, and I'm excited to be working on this very important issues with all of you. Um, I do want to make things easy. I want to continue. I think one thing that John made last year, or when he was a chair, and I really appreciate, is to empower each of the committee members to do things that you're passionate about, right? I like the fact that he said, whoever wants a project to be done, you raise your hand and you own it, right? Tell us, the committee and me, what is it I can support you? If you need more people to help or you need budget, let us know. And I think I would like to continue with that approach, right? We decide our activities lineup is dictated by the volunteers, right? You want to own an event, you would like to see that happen. If it's not already spoken for, please raise your hand and we'll come together as a team to make that happen. That being the context, let's start with the first item of new business. So I like to propose maybe this is not an issue. Okay, so presently we meet on the second Thursday at 1 p.m. of every month. This is not a time I can meet in person. This is a time I can meet over Zoom. So if there's any interest to meet in person, I have reached out to the town to understand what's the time that's available. I didn't do an entire universe of search. What I did is keep the same day, just a different time. And then that works for me. Later in the day is when I can meet in person. So anytime from 7 p.m., 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. on the second Tuesday. Now, if we
Uh,
all
second Tuesday, because we've been meeting
Thursday,
second Thursday.
Thursday. Typo. Okay, second Thursday. Thank you, Phil. So if we say we're fine with meeting over Zoom, that we do not need to meet in person, then we are then there's no really agenda item. We'll just say, hey, we agree to meet over Zoom in the future. Then our meeting invite will be using the Zoom and there will be no physical meeting place. So question first, do we want to meet in person or do we want meeting over Zoom? Do we want to, shall we take a vote? I guess this is not a question. This is not like a preference. I guess all those support in meeting over Zoom, I would just say raise your hand to the screen so I can see you.
There it is.
All right, Phil, I think are you raising your, I think you're not on top. Okay. Okay, did you raise your hand, Phil? Or
I did.
okay, so I guess we'll keep the same meeting time. We're over a Zoom. So the Zoom link we're using is provided to us by the town of Portola Valley. We are, we'll continue to do that. Sorry, my husband is like texting me nonstop. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so the next meeting new item is we would like to welcome two new members, Stacy as well as Leslie. Stacy and Leslie, would you just like to just introduce yourself? I think we're all friends here, but this may be helpful for to just have a quick round of introduction.
Okay, how about Stacy first, since you're mentioning her first?
Okay.
Sure. I'm really excited to be here. Stacy Doherty. I've lived in the Bay Area for the past 13 years and in Portola Valley for the last 10. My background's mostly in nonprofit theater and also with youth theater. I worked at the Portola Valley Theater Conservatory for the last 13 years. And I'm shifted gears and I'm now working more in the corporate sector at the moment. Prior to the Bay Area, I worked with an opera company in San Diego, so in Southern California, and I also worked with the La Jolla Music Society. And my husband is into photography and video editing and is currently the education director at a local nonprofit in Mountain View where they teach the community how to edit film pieces, which is really exciting. And so our family is very invested in the arts, and I'm really excited to be a part of this committee and support where I can.
Fantastic. Thank you, Stacy. Leslie?
Yeah, so I'm mostly known as an engineer. It's what I spend most of my time on. And I've got a nonprofit as well, which is trying to preserve the world's ice. It's a big lever on climate change. I've been teaching at Stanford for quite a while. I'm not doing that right now. They've got budget woes that has them cutting back classes. But for the last 15 years, I've gotten to do that. So I love working with kids. And what brought me to wanting to join this committee was, first, Phil is having too much fun. I really wanted to join in on that. You guys are a really nice crowd, clearly. And I miss doing art. My mom was an artist. She taught me to paint. I love that. And I did noon art. I led a program once a week on Mondays for 8 years, the 8 years my kids were in the school, sequentially, on noon art, of just letting them, assemble what they could, draw what they could, and just sort of, open their eyes a bit for, how fun it is to do this. And had a really great crew working with me over that time. So it was a lot of work, but it was a ton of fun. And I miss that vibe. I've let myself get a little bit too steeped in the engineering, and Phil and I both do a lot of music, so we've got that still and together. But it would be nice to dip my toes back in the art some more, and especially if there's an interest in helping young kids, express their creativity, that would be a blast.
Okay. Now, thank you. We're so happy to have you guys. I think it's always nice to have new perspective to an organization, and then the timing couldn't be even better, right? We're in the midst of a transition, and having new perspectives and new blood coming in, I think will only make us a stronger team. To that end, let's talk about the activities we want to line up. So I've jotted down on the agenda some of the activities that being suggested. Now, what I want to do is a kind of a preliminary discussion. I want to kind of understand what everyone wants to work on, and we can just as a group to say, what is really, from a schedule timeline perspective, we don't want to make sure we're not scheduling multiple things at the same time. Ideally, we space them out, and also realistically, do we have whenever you want to work on something, can we find enough people on the committee to help you out? So those are the two essentially pillars essentially the guardrails I want us to keep in mind when we talk about activities for the year. Now, the year is interesting, right? I believe and there are people, Jerry, Mimi, and Phil, you guys have been here for much longer than me. Do we usually plan the year up until December, or do we plan the year in, and I think that's the fiscal year, right? The fiscal year and the calendar year for the when we do planning, it's the same, right? So basically we plan up until December, and then we start again in January. Is that how you guys typically do it?
I thought the town's fiscal year was starting beginning of July.
Okay, well, in that case, we have an entire year ahead of us, 12 months. So, yeah, I think, if people want to, I think what will be helpful is if maybe we can go around to see what we like to work on, and maybe at the time, right? So we can just have a very open-ended, explorative discussion on what would you like to see in the next 12 months, and then the timeline. And then we can zoom in a little bit to see if there's enough support for each of the program. And now if we can also decide, as a group, so, we really want to focus on a few headliners, right? Just a few programs to make sure we're successful, given it is a year of transition. And, I like to always say when the year of a transition, it's better to go small and steady rather than to be, to stretch us out too thin. So does anybody want to start, or I'm happy to call on people?
I'd like to clarify, I'm not trying to have a noon art every week, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that becomes intense, but once or twice a year might be nice to gauge the interest of the kids around.
Mhm.
And yeah, and see what our ambition level and our energy level is like. So yeah, just to make sure, I'm not trying to take over everybody's weeks by any means.
I want to make sure I understand that correctly. Are you saying, is the program you're proposing just once a month to have a kids program of kind of open art studio? Is that the program you're proposing?
Or maybe just once or twice a year. We used to have the flight night, and golly, that was a beautiful thing, but it only happened about once a year. But it was a highlight for.
What was the program?
Well,
The
that was the NASA thing,
Flight Night.
collaborated with, and they'd have, all kinds of model airplanes and much more sophisticated things around at Town Center. Yeah, that was a blast. So it's that kind of, it doesn't have to be every week. It can be something really memorable
Okay.
once in a long while.
So I think it can be art or not art, right? Kids program on repeat. cadence to be determined, right? It could be maybe twice a year or even once a year.
Right.
All right. And what was the like how many people did you need or when the NASA thing happened or the open art or the open art studio, how many people do you think you need help with that?
Well, when we were doing it at Ormondale Weekly, we had probably about 6 of us volunteering together. So that was substantial. That would be most of the committee. So you don't want to make it
Yeah.
that big. But it was
Okay.
a whole lot of kids. It was, I guess
Mhm.
at least 20 of them, would be showing up on Mondays and do stuff. And it was, it was a blast, but it was intense. And I don't think we're feeling that kind of intensity being possible right now. I personally couldn't handle that right now. But the once in a while thing would be neat. And of course, let's not forget we have a wonderful art instructor in town, Jeannie Goldman. Oh my, she's just fantastic. And then there's another one who's not as connected with town center, but oh, Phil, what's her name? The wonderful people down the road here on Portola Road. Also does an art studio thing. So sometimes with kids. So
Not sure who you're talking about.
it's an Indian name. I can't remember her name.
Oh, I've seen her.
Yeah, she's really, really a nice person and really quite talented. Yeah. So
I
She
wonder,
advertises her classes on the forum often.
yeah.
Not to interject, I apologize, but I texted Sue and didn't get a response, so I called her. And she said she's been in the waiting room trying to get on.
here.
And I sent her the new link. And it says there's 7 participants, but I don't see her.
Oh, I see iPad Sue
Oh,
Shapu
here. Okay.
showing up now.
So yes, she got on with the link I just sent her. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that Sue made it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
her volume is muted, right? Her microphone is muted.
Yeah, I see that now.
So Leslie, I want to go back to what you said. Are you proposing the town we sponsor? So it will be free for the attendance. Essentially, we'll just hire the art teacher to host it.
Yeah, I mean, you may be surprised how many people would volunteer to do it. But yeah,
Yeah, mission, essentially. We're not going to charge anything.
right.
Let
Yeah,
it be,
no,
let
I
be a
don't-
hire teacher or volunteers. So we're going to do free admission. Okay. Okay. I like that. I mean, I think definitely let's think about what we could do. Does anybody else have an idea? Just bounce out, or whoever brought up the idea about music with Steve, can someone elaborate on that? And by the way, we all know Steve. Stacy, you may not know Steve. Steve is a volunteer on PV Palooza, a local musician here. Really has been here for a very, very long time. I think he grew up here or well, anyhow, he's just a fixture here in town. I think everybody knows Steve. Who Phil, was it
Did
you?
his wife used to work at as a teacher in town at school?
Dorian taught
Yeah.
Spanish at Corte Madera.
Okay.
And she left and went to Palo Alto and taught Spanish. Steve Dunn offered, and Sue, you should speak up on this. I think he spoke with you as well. And he would like to do a music night, more informal.
Nice.
Where is he thinking about doing it?
I didn't get that far with him. I thought maybe at town hall and inviting people like we used to.
Okay, and then are we going to be, so we're just going to be inviting local musicians for a jam session? Is that the idea?
We just publicize it like we do all of our events and put it on the forum and people come.
Well, what I mean is, do we have a line up previous? Like, do we have the musician line up decided ahead of time, or is it open jam session? What
That
is?
would be Steve would be running that.
It's so one thing I have to think about this, right? Steve is not part of the committee. I need to think about, what I would like for Steve to do is to have a kind of either he comes to the committee all like every time we have a meeting so we can communicate, or he works with a committee member. So, so there'll be someone to be able to answer the question and then also communicate to us the resources that he would need to for the program to be to have the program. So maybe I'm happy to reach out to Steve or Jerry and Sue. Would you guys like to reach out to Steve to see if he he has a preference, come to the meeting or work with somebody as his representative on the committee?
Sue, are you going to do that, or do you want me to do that? She's muted again. I'll get a hold of Steve, and
Okay.
I'll tell him we want to follow up on his offering
Mhm.
of a cultural arts music night, and we would like to have more thorough information so that we can move forward and get it scheduled.
Yeah, also time as well. What is a good time for him, so we can have the lineup when he would like to do that. So Jerry will follow up with Steve to get the following information. Time. Yes, Leslie.
I'd like to add that Dorian Dunn, which Stacy probably knows, is an incredible comedic actress. There was one of these things where she was all in green paint and being a cook, and it was just one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen at PVTC, the theater company. So that might be a wonderful pairing, or they could team up, and it would be something I would sure want to get to go see. So just for what that's worth, he comes
Okay.
with a powerful spouse.
All right. So that sounds wonderful. So Jerry, the information I would like to understand from Steve is the following, right? We have time, the format, and then the location, and then also contact, right? Point of contact is that Steve will come to the CAC meeting, or will he have a representative at the meeting? Okay, both works. We kind of just need to know that. Okay. Now, there was a lot of mention of Christmas fair, and I understand, I believe it was Wesley who oversaw the Christmas fair last year, and ultimately, unfortunately, it didn't happen. Is there still an interest this year to do the Christmas fair? Um, do we have volunteers to lead the Christmas fair?
I think following your lead that you said we should start with something small. The Christmas fair is humongous. Those of us that did it for years were on our feet for hours. It's a lot of work. Wesley did an amazing job and the town shut it down due to financial reasons. I don't think this is a good year, our first year. Plus, remember, I was lucky when I petitioned the board to get any money at all. We only have $3,000. We used to have a much, much bigger budget, anywhere between $13,000 and $20,000, which we will not see the likes of again because a lot of it went to the music.
Yeah.
So I just think the Christmas fair is wonderful. I'd love to see it happen, but I don't know if it's a project that aligns with your leadership goal of starting small this year. It's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like we probably do not have enough volunteer for this, or, most importantly, a leader for this. And given how much work it would be, I think for now, this year, we'll put it on temporary hold. I do think it's a wonderful program. I hope, probably next year we can find the resources to support it. Leslie, yes, please.
Yeah, I hate being this person of repeatedly having comments, but
Uh-huh.
it seems to me in past years, it looked to me like the Priory was sponsoring the Christmas crafts fair. Is that not the case anymore? Because they've
No,
got.
they never sponsored anything. They allowed us to use it because we cannot take in money from vendors due to the way our town community hall was funded through the German government and money from Germany. It's my understanding that's coming to an end quite soon.
Hmm.
It was 7 year, 17 year, I forget, but yeah, Leslie, you're absolutely right. We had to move it from the schoolhouse because it got too big.
Hmm.
And Mimi and Sue, you should chime in on this because you were in on this way back when we wanted to move it to the community center, and Crystal got us in at the Priory because the vendors couldn't take any money inside the community hall.
Hmm.
And remember, there were like 20, 30 vendors. I mean, it's a lot of people trying to sell their wares.
And excuse me, wasn't the insurance problem also a big
No.
question mark?
It was very expensive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure we have the resources, both
Yeah.
time, money, and
Okay, that is,
volunteer to do that this year.
I think it's best to put it off for
not need that.
a bit.
Oh, thank you.
Stacy,
Can you hear me? Oh,
yes.
there, I'm on. Okay.
Stacy, do you have something you'd like to say?
Yeah, I wanted to propose a different program. It would be also low key. I think it was probably 5 or 6 years ago. I believe it was pre-COVID. But I came to see a photography exhibit in town hall, and I thought it was really fun. And if the committee would be interested in having another photography exhibit where people signed up to, have their photos up for a day, I would totally be happy to organize something like that.
Yes, Sue, Mimi, and I worked on that. It was the youth photography. And we went to the schools and talked to the principals, allowed us to go over and pass out flyers. And then the teachers encouraged the photography. And some of our very renowned photographers here in Portola Valley came and their children submitted. I have pictures in my phone still somewhere of it. And yeah, it was very successful. And that was one thing that was on our list for this year.
I
Can you hear me now?
yes, Sue. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good.
Talk.
Well, I love it. I think what is a timeline? Do you know what time of the year you would like to put that on? And of course, it doesn't have to be, we're going to follow through, but just tentatively, what do you think?
Sure. And also if, Jerry, if this was something you wanted to spearhead, I definitely wouldn't want to step on any toes.
No, I think you and your husband would be wonderful to be part of it because that's his forte.
Awesome. So that's a great question. I'd say it would be good to think about whether having a youth component would be great. Do we also want to open it up to non-youth? So there were sort of like, adults could submit photos too. If youth are involved, I'd say definitely a few months after school has started, so that I have great relationships with both principals in Portola Valley, so I could definitely connect with them and the teachers, just because word of mouth and flyers take a while for things to disseminate. It could be something in like early next year.
Let me add
Depending on, yeah, like if we had something in February, maybe
I think
Say-
we did it in the spring so that
spring.
the students could go out with a focus on Portola Valley. They took geography, the animal life, the flora, the fauna, so forth and so on.
I love that. That
And
springtime sounds great.
just to catch you up, and Sue, you're not chiming in on any of this. And
Yeah, no, it
Sue was
wasn't
in,
sure,
Sue was in,
wasn't sure if you could hear me, but I, you, the adult photography would be very big and very complex, and someday we'll tell you all about that. What we've gleaned from the town, and still have never heard from town council about a permanent adult photography exhibit rotating. But the youth one, I hope things have changed. It's very hard to get work from the kids. We've
Well,
experienced that at the library with the poetry. We used to have a contest, and it's just very hard to get the teachers to have enough time, to help. We even brought poet laureates into the classroom to help them write. That's why we thought photography would be so easy. Just use an iPhone and produce a photo. But I think it's time to do it again. That's great, Stacy, if you would love to, and we'll help you.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I wonder, so, because that's really good feedback, it could be that submissions can come in on their own. And then if people wanted help, I don't want to volunteer my husband without talking with him, but I could see if he'd be willing to do like if anyone wants to go on some photo excursions around town center area and they wanted some, feedback on how to frame photos or what settings if they're on a camera. I'd be
that'd be
yeah, I'd be
wonderful.
very
Yeah.
surprised if he wasn't interested in that.
Okay, and then we have in storage, we have some display panels. They're professional.
Oh, great.
They're black or gray or whatever, and you can just pin the photos right up. So
Perfect.
that'd be wonderful to do it again.
Great. And I think another logistical item is getting the photos printed. And I could
Yes.
bounce some ideas off of you. I know we have a photo printer at our house, but I also know the ink's expensive. So just like thinking through what the process would be if someone was able to print their own photo, does it need to be a certain size? And then if they need help printing, logistically, how do we want to make that happen?
Yes, we got a lot of them from Walgreens last minute.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's easy to take them, but then somebody's got to
Exactly.
go have them printed. So glad you have that too. Yeah, I think that was a problem with some kids. They had
Yeah.
the photos, but it was difficult to get somebody to help them get them printed and get them to us.
That makes sense.
I
And
picked
then,
them up at the school. I had boxes at the school. I had boxes at both schools and the Priory, and
okay, great.
that they could drop them in.
That sounds wonderful. And because the Priory is that's a local school too, which is awesome. And then did you have like different categories and did you have them like fill out a Google form or something so we knew
No,
their photo, their name?
no, we just,
Okay.
yeah, just got what we could. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the second year was COVID, so we put them in the window.
Oh, great. Okay.
Posted them in the window. But the first day we had the whole room, the first time we had the whole room and tables and then these professional display units and easels. The town
Great.
has 24 easels.
Oh, great. And Ivy, what are the rules? Like if I wanted to put a little bit more thought into this, but wanted to bounce some ideas off, like during grabbing coffee with some of the, like with Jerry and Sue, is that allowed?
Oh, sure.
Of course, so I think what I need next step is first and foremost, the town staff. I had a conversation with town staff, and then they, as a courtesy, and I think we should have a very good relationship, maintain a good relationship with town staff, is to give them heads up as early as possible to use the town facilities. So if you like to use town hall, I would like to say is, the earliest possible you can target on the date, let me know, and I will essentially lock that down, RSVP, reserve the town hall with the city. And as far as having conversations on the side, just brainstorming, it does not have to be in a meeting. I mean, the whole point of committee is that you guys get together. It is also a place for friendship, right? So get together. We are, it's a great place to meet like-minded people in town. So, make friends with Sue and Jerry and then talk about the details. So I think locking down a date and the budget, right? We are, like Jerry said, we have a small budget this year. Whatever budget you need to have, let me know. So, and that's another thing we need to think about, right? It's maybe we have too many ideas and we don't have the budget to support them all. So this is one, this is just,
Yeah, this didn't cost more than $10, I don't think, for tape,
wow. I
you know,
love it.
just to put the tape up. And then also the library came, and because we were in the windows and they couldn't get in the building, when we displayed them in there.
Okay.
And then Jerry put out comment cards so that people that looked at it could comment on them. That was great. And we got a good response in the library because they were in there and they couldn't get in the building during COVID. So I'm going to jump back to an art idea. And we did this years ago with do you remember Barbara Steinemann Community Productions? And I got a piece of art from every child in the district, and we sold them, of course, back to their parents to make money for the school district. And we did the schoolhouse, and it was just magical. And one of the gals that painted one of the better oils of the schoolhouse, we did acrylic, is now a professional artist.
I love that story.
And I'm thinking we could open this up to the whole town, adults and children. We just put chairs up in front of the building. We gave them canvases and acrylics. And it was fabulous. And it might be fun for adults to paint it as well. And then Shelley Briner gave me what do you call it? A little like a stencil of he made a stencil, so it was easier for the kids to get the outline.
I love the idea. May I suggest think about, I think this is complementary to Leslie's idea.
Leslie, yeah, I just couldn't comment when
Yeah.
I wasn't on but Leslie, you might want to think about something like that where as a one-time only beginning or anyway, I always wanted to do it again.
I mean, now you guys already have 2 people volunteering for the same idea, right?
Yeah.
You guys, maybe, we start in the fall and we can do like probably, the seasons of Portola Valley, you have a theme. And then, we have a beautiful fall day, have people draw it. And if it's a success, we'll do it again in the spring. Winter is a little bit hard because of the rain. What do you guys think about that? Start with the fall and then successful, we'll do it again in the spring.
I like that.
Okay. May I put Sue and Leslie down for this idea?
Sure.
Sounds great.
Okay. I think Sue and Leslie, an art day to be and then, so same thing, budget and date, right? And date is a part if we need to use town facility, including, I think the field is, we have a little bit more flexibility. So if we want to do it outside, town hall definitely, I think she prefers, minimum 4 weeks of advance notice, if not more, to book that. Okay, so we have 2 art and then photography, and then we also have the music. Does anybody else have any ideas want to share?
Could I go back to the music? Steve came over one day and just said he wanted to do like a bistro thing in the town hall in the winter when there's nothing else going on.
Okay.
My vision was more of a, I mean, he has his own band,
Okay.
so, just kind of more of a bistro thing with little tables and chairs. That was my vision, but
Okay.
the big thing is the music. When I talked to Dorianne, you know, they're married.
Yeah.
So,
I
and
yeah.
do you know how they met?
Yes.
At the-
Yes.
Being in a play together.
Yeah, in the community production of
Community.
Town Hall. They were the lead players, and that's how
She
they
was-
met.
Yeah, and they were being set
Anyway, she didn't know anything about it. So,
people in the play played matchmakers.
yes, yeah, it's just such a cute story, and they're both wonderful.
Right.
So, sure, he could, and at one time, John and I were trying to get him on the committee, but then I think he went with John and with the Palooza.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he'd want to join our committee, but sure, I can ask him if he wants to come to a meeting and tell us what his concept is.
I like that idea. I think the bistro style is wonderful. Get some tables and chairs, almost like jazz. I'm almost having like a club for a night, you
Yeah.
know, whatever music people want to play. So I think my question for Steve is that, is it more of an open session, or do we want to have musicians lined up, or maybe a little bit both, right? We have some musicians kind of lined up in advance, because we don't want it'll be awkward if we have a bistro night and nobody goes up. And sometimes open jam sessions can be a little bit intimidating. So maybe a little bit both. So I think if you don't mind, just have that conversation with him, and he's welcome to come over and we can brainstorm together, and just use our meeting as a brainstorm session. So we have the music, and we have 2 art programs for the kids. No volunteers for the Christmas fair. I think I mean, do we have any suggestions for programs? And as far as timeline goes, the art day is in the fall, music is in the winter, and spring we have a photography exhibit and possibly another art day if the fall art day goes well.
And we do have quite a few local authors
Oh, I like that.
that we could do in the winter as well. Do January, February, March, something. So I think I've got 5.
Ladera Church does a art and literary thing, seems to have for the last couple years at least, just on their grounds. So that might be something you could coordinate with and
Uh-oh.
load.
I froze.
Uh-oh.
Are you thinking of the Pam
Oh,
Durrell's big art fair at the church coming up in September?
Is that, well, Ladera does a thing, and it never seemed to me very large, but it's
And
that-
the church lets them use that, but
That-
it's a separate, it's
ah,
called, what's it called? I can't think of the name of it. I can see the logo.
oh,
That will be September. And they've
September,
done it for 4 years, I think.
September 13th, Pam has had it. She put on the forum last night, the artists
Yes,
have been selected.
yeah.
And the literary and the things that we sit on the chairs over under the trees. She said the deadline was just Monday, and she will be posting those authors then. But yeah, no, that has nothing to do with our cultural arts, and the church is just lovely enough to let Pam use it.
nice.
Isn't her last name Donkin, Sue?
No, Durrell.
Durrell, that's it. Durrell. Susan.
And because I belong to that group, I got the list, so it's all set.
Mm-hmm.
So a friend of mine who also is on the board for Friends of the Library here at at Portola Valley, I think they do a number of things with authors as well. Happy to connect her or have her to come to talk to the group for
I am on the Friends of the Library as well.
well, then we don't need any, we can just have Sue talk. Yeah, so you have the list, and then maybe Same idea, right? We kind of, you kind of mentioned about winter. We kind of just have to space things out, right? If the music event takes place in November, then this will have to be in December and vice versa.
Yeah, I wouldn't do anything in December, but more January. And
When
then
was when was the Christmas fair? Was it beginning of December?
it was usually about the first or second,
Okay. And then
because, you bought gifts for Christmas. I mean, we always tried to have it the first weekend of December.
so I would say, okay, if I correctly heard you correctly, the bistro thing is likely in January.
Unless he wants to do November. It gets so busy November and December.
Right.
And then January and February are much more quiet.
Right.
Oh.
I think that's I totally in agreement. As far as the author, we are running up the time. I do have another meeting today. I just have a hard back-to-back meetings till 5. So may we pick up the rest of it next time?
Sure.
I think we have a really good lineup. Maybe if we were ambitious, we'll add one or two more. For all the events we talked about today, is whoever leading it, what I want to do is making sure let's zoom in on the time as as close as possible, especially if you like to use the town hall. So give me a month. What I can do is go back to the city, say, hey, in this month that we are thinking about using, doing this event X, what are the dates do you have available right now? Let me know. So I think that will be a good way for us to, zoom in on dates. Like anything you plan, once you have a date, then we have a deadline to work towards. For me, what I want like to see is the budget, right? Again, high level, if you quote me 100, don't come back for 1,000. So that's what I'm asking. And a high level doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be within a reasonable range. And I think that's about it.
I have just two important things to say, mainly for the new people. Of course, if you're going to the mayor and to the coffee and you want to talk and bring something up, you can. But we're under strict orders as committee members to not go to town hall and say, hi, I want to talk to so-and-so. I'm on the Cultural Arts Committee, or I'm on the Park and Rec Committee or something. They made a hard and fast rule that only the chairman. So if there's something, if Stacy, you want to talk to somebody, or Leslie, us old timers know John was strict about it. Paige Bishop was strict about it. We have to go to our chair, and then Sue is co-chair, and as you can see today, we have to go through Ivy. And Ivy will go to them about dates and about equipment, about anything we need. So we want to keep them happy so that we can use the facilities and the chairs and so forth and so on.
One last thing
That was the big thing. And then the other thing is there's a form, like most of our expenses when we do the photography or something, or like an author's night, we would buy a nice orchid or a beautiful plant. And there is a reimbursement form that you have to use. And I have one, Ivy, or you can ask the town, maybe
And it's online
Jerry,
too.
I apologize.
send it
Everyone.
electronically.
I have to stop because
Okay.
I cannot
Okay.
be late.
But those two things
looking
are
for-
important.
I am looking forward to volunteers to picnic on the 24th. I will send an email to everyone. If you can volunteer for the town picnic to table on our behalf, I appreciate that. I apologize to have a rush. Thank you so much for everyone to dial in. Fantastic first meeting. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.